Story of Ruby Bridges by Robert Coles, illustrated by George Ford. Ruby Bridges was born in a small cabin near Tylerton, Mississippi. We were very poor, very, very poor, Ruby said. My daddy worked picking crops, and we just barely got by. There were times when we didn't have much to eat. The people who owned the land were bringing in machines to pick the crops, so my daddy lost his job, and that's when we had to move. I remember us leaving. I was 4, I think. In 1955, the family moved to New Orleans. Ruby's father became a janitor. Her mother took care of the children during the day. After they were tucked into bed, Ruby's mother went to work scrubbing the floors in a bank. Every Sunday, the family went to church. We wanted our children to be near God's Spirit, Ruby's mother said. We wanted them to start feeling close to Him from the very start. At that time, black children and white children went to separate schools in New Orleans. The black children were not able to receive the same education as the white children. It wasn't fair, and it was against the nation's law. In 1960, a judge ordered 4 black girls to go to white elementary schools. 3 of these girls were sent to McDough 19. 6-year-old Ruby Bridges was sent to first grade in William Pratt Elementary School. Ruby's parents were proud that their daughter had been chosen to take part in the important event in American history. They went to church. We sat there and prayed to God, Ruby's mother said, that we'd all be strong and we'd have the courage to get through any trouble, and Ruby would be a good girl, and she'd hold her head up high and be credit to her own people and her credit to all the American people. We prayed long and we prayed hard. On Ruby's first day, a large crowd of angry white people gathered outside of the Franks Elementary School. The people carried signs that said they didn't want black children in a white school. People called Ruby's name, and some wanted to hurt her. The city and state police did not help Ruby. The President of the United States ordered federal marshals to walk with Ruby into the school building. The marshals carried guns. Every day for weeks that turned into months, Ruby experienced that kind of school day. She walked into Frank's Elementary School surrounded by marshals, wearing a clean dress and bow in her hair and carrying her lunch pail. Ruby walked slowly for the first few blocks. As Ruby approached the school, she saw a crowd of people marching down the street. Men and women and children shouted at her. They pushed towards her. The marshals kept from Ruby by threatening to arrest them. Ruby would not hurry through the crowd and not say a word. When the white people in the neighborhood would not send their children to school, when Ruby got inside the building, she was alone except for her teacher, Miss Hurley. There were no other children to keep Ruby company, and